Last night, we had some victories and a loss. Times reporting on the latest with the election, saying we had 2 elections, one to replace Matt Gaetz, who was going to be the Attorney General and then is no longer the Attorney General, which would have been nice. Michael Waltz also left the House to go up to bring in media reporters into secret signal groups. So both those guys are out of the House, and then we had to replace them. So GOP won those back, got them back, and good news. 2 Trump-backed Republicans won. Jimmy Patronis, Chief's financial officer, won the race, replaced Gaetz. He won 57% there. State Senator Randy Fine captured the 6th district, replacing Michael Waltz, Trump's NSA. He had 56% as of 9 p.m., so both of them looking good. Both seats had been expected to remain in Republican hands. Some private polls showing Mr. Fine was a close contest, but they raised millions of dollars and they won. So there's Randy Fine. He won that one. Gaetz resigned from the House. Patronis and Fine cleared their respective fields easily, but there were some concerns that the margins weren't as big as they should have been. A Republican, Ron DeSantis, said it's going to be a way underperformance for his party compared to prior elections. But they won. AP called it for Mr. Fine, said supporters of Fine were ordering from a food truck, holding a watch party. So they won. DNC pointed to similar margins, saying it's coming up on our side. Momentum is coming on our side. Mr. Fine, a former gambling lobbyist and a pugnacious state representative, is the only Jewish Republican in the Florida legislature. He broke with the governor. He endorsed Trump instead of DeSantis, saying Trump would be a better ally against anti-Semitism. Yeah, and I've seen pictures of this guy with the Israeli flag in his office all over the place. No one is better positioned to take up the mantle for Florida families, small business owners and workers, and other. Mr. Patronis said that in a separate statement, he'll be a strong voice for Floridians and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they won. Good news. Bit of a setback, though, in the Supreme Court. Susan Crawford comes out ahead of Brad Schimmel, 55 to 45% by about 250,000 votes-ish. So she won. Turnout was high, very high for an off-year election, and everything went blue. Now, many people are saying probably just abortion or get out the vote efforts of the Democrats, but they did win that, and there will be consequences for that. I think the results will come later down the line, but they're talking about redistricting the entire state, and when you redistrict, when you can carve the lines in the state to create certain districts, you can finagle those to your benefit, so then you can just draw districts that are more blue and make red district. You can split red districts up, in other words, right? If you have some strong red districts, you just carve them all into one so that the Republicans get 1 seat, and then you divvy out the rest of the state so the Democrats get blue. You just reshape them. So we're going to keep our eye on that one, obviously, and I think that there will be a lot of litigation on this. But the good news is that they also passed, as a silver lining, voter ID requirement as an amendment to the Constitution. All right, so let's say, for example, the Supreme Court Judge Crawford comes in and a case comes before them about the prior voter ID statutes, and this judge wants to come out and say, voter ID is illegal in Wisconsin because of racism and bigotry and white people or whatever, then undermines that statute and says voter ID statute is unconstitutional. Now it's an amendment, okay? So you can't undo it. So it's shoved in there. You're just going to have to deal with it. Check IDs at the polls. I don't know why it's so complicated. You have to check ID for everything else. Why not this too? So here's more. The state has required voters to use ID for a decade, but now it's an amendment. And there's this line going around, we already here quite did for a decade. Okay, we know. Yeah, we know. The problem is you guys undermine statutes passed by legislatures. So we had to make it an amendment so that you can't mess with it anymore. Wisconsin voters on Tuesday approved an amendment to the Constitution to strengthen the current law requiring photo ID at the polls. A victory for Republicans. For close to a decade, they've already done this, but a constitutional amendment is going to make it even more difficult to roll back, even under a liberal Supreme Court, or if the state legislature goes back to Dems. The measure was brought by Republicans, and it is now an amendment. Should be wild that this is even a question in any state. Conservatives have steadily and successfully pushed for stricter voter ID laws, suggesting that they're needed to combat widespread voter fraud. Election experts at times, which is mostly a fake paper, say that voter fraud in elections is exceedingly rare. Okay, tell that to the FBI, who gagged the FBI to talk about free speech in America. So you can't talk about open investigations that are impacting an election. How about voter fraud conducted by the CIA that were paying contractors like Michael Morrell and others to facilitate a scam letter that Joe Biden could use to brainwash the American people, and the media lapped it up. How is that not fraud? It's fraud. It's outright fraud. Democrat leaders opposed the effort for the amendment in Wisconsin, arguing it would disenfranchise voters, including old people and black people. Yeah, because I guess old people and black people have difficulty showing ID or something. Who studies have shown are less likely to carry voter ID. Wow. Than white people. Unbelievable. While black voters make up only 5% of the electorate, they overwhelmingly favor Dems. So Dems want, I guess, multiple of them to vote multiple times without ID. I don't know. Democrats also question why the amendment should be a priority at all, saying Republicans were neglecting more pressing matters. Why do you care about voter ID? Don't you care about abortion and childcare? Last week, Trump stepped into the fray on voter ID. They sued him, right? Trump issued the executive order. We read through a bit of the lawsuit yesterday from every single Democrat ever yesterday. Hakeem, Schumer, DNC, DSC, DCCC, all of them. 36 states ask or require voters to show some form of ID. And I think I saw a map on that. It's very interesting how this correlates between red states and blue states. Is it the chicken or the egg? Are the states blue because they don't have voter ID and their elections are rigged, and so the Democrats steal the elections and they're blue? Or are they naturally blue and they just are voting to dilute their own votes or something? But it's interesting how the split happens. Now, polls show that voter ID laws enjoy broad bipartisan support. Weird. With Pew Research saying 81% of voters want it. Why don't Democrats? Yeah, it's strange how they fight that every single turn, no matter what. So that is what happened at the election. So some good stuff, some not so good stuff. We'll, of course, see what happens with the Supreme Court over there.